How's it going, everyone? My name's Austin. This is my buddy Devon. This year we've kind of set a list for ourselves of movies that we want to watch. I think right now we've got, 30 movies on the list?
30 movies.
We're still adding to it. Not movies specific to this year, but could be for any year. Just new movies to us. Kind of all genres. I specifically really like horror movies, so I've added a lot of those to the list.
I like horror movies are my favorite, but I added a lot of the non-horror, but he started out adding a lot of the horror. So
Kind of wanted to hone in on one specific that we just watched, fresh on our mind. The Woman in the Yard.
yeah, The Woman in the Yard, and you can cut in the videos and stuff.
I'm not cutting shit.
Let's give a little plot summary for The Woman in the Yard. So a mysterious woman repeatedly appears in a family's front yard, often delivering chilling warnings and unsettling messages, leaving them to question her identity, motives, and the potential danger she might pose.
I don't think that synopsis is very good. She didn't often leave like chilling messages. They kind of saw her and they're like, "Who are you and why are you here?" And she's like, "I don't know where I'm at." But why was Ramona so quick to be like, "I don't know who she is"?
She was fucking scared. She was fucking scared.
She's crippled on her leg.
Oh yeah, her leg was crippled. But no. It's because there's a lady in her yard and she didn't know why she was there. She's got a veil over her head, just sitting out there all day. Like, I would be scared too.
I don't know what I would do. I mean, I don't even know if I'd approach her.
So let's say you're on a farm right now, and it's just you, no neighbors in sight. It's you. Let's say your wife and
I guess my phone's dead too because Ramona's phone was dead.
power was out.
Power's
All
out,
power
phone
was out.
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, no landlines.
Like, it's just three of you, and there's a lady in your yard. You're staying inside. You're not doing shit.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I've got a gun.
But okay, so is it the woman in the yard? Like, this woman, like, shadow powers, and she's like a...
If there's shadows and stuff, all right. Well, we got to get in the movie. We're gonna start talking about the shadow.
Okay. How did the movie start?
So Ramona, she wakes up in bed, and she's watching this video of her presumed husband. You don't know what's going on. The husband's saying like, "Oh, I had the most wonderful dream, and I dreamed of you naming." I don't remember what he was talking about. Irises. Yeah, he was like, "What are those flowers you like?" And she's like, "Irises." "Oh yeah, them ones. And you were doing something, and we named the farm. And what's the name of the farm?" And she's like, "I don't know." So she regretted not naming the farm.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. Seems like she's kind of zoned everything out, tuned everything out in the world. You kind of hear in her background, her son is starting to yell for her. Anyways, her son wakes her up, gets her out of bed finally. You see that her leg's broken, so she's been in some kind of accident. You don't see a husband in bed or around, so he's presumably, R.I.P. No longer the picture, divorce. I don't know.
I don't think we jumped to R.I.P.
I jumped to he's
maybe,
no longer
maybe,
there.
yeah.
Seems like she's putting a lot on her son early on. Like, he's cooking breakfast, he's feeding the dog. They're out of food, so she's been neglecting stuff.
That's a good point.
So that she feeds the dog mashed potatoes, which he then later throws up. He puts Doritos in the eggs, so he's trying his best.
Power's out?
Yeah, the power's out too for some reason. I think that's why he woke her up. Is because the
power
was
went
out.
out?
Yeah, I think the power went out and he wanted her to call the utility company. But because she was watching her phone so much, her phone was dead because she wasn't charging it, watching it.
Well, yeah, and that makes sense because the power would have had to have gone out recently if her phone was just on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it seems like he's like really trying to fill the role of taking care of stuff, but he's doing it poorly. So it kind of shows that he's still young and a kid.
General shenanigans that he was getting up to, like defying some of the things that she was saying. I mean, that comes into play a little later on as well.
Yeah.
What was the big thing that started the rest of the movie?
They see a woman out in the yard as the son is going out to chain the dog up outside because he won't stop barking at something. Son runs back in, sees the woman in the yard, and the mom, Ramona, he tells his mother about it. And the mom, it seems a little weird. She's like, she's probably just lost, She's
because when you first see somebody out in the yard, you're kind of like, what the...
Yeah, but she was ominous and spooky as shit.
Yeah, she had the veil over her head. Like, it was weird.
And she was looking at their house. Like, it wasn't like she was facing away.
Yeah, it was weird. And she's all in black and like a chair. Like, yeah.
Begrudgingly, Ramona goes out there, kind of confronts her. And like I said, Ramona's injured, so she's on crutches. So she does not move very quickly. No, I think slow. Just previously in the clip, she almost fell down the stairs with the crutches. Yeah, she is not very good with these crutches. That makes me think she's not very fluent with using them because she hasn't been on them for very long. So whatever happened may have been recent. We don't know still. I mean, I know. You don't know. Unless you've seen the movie, you know. And she confronts the woman in the yard. She's like, "Oh yeah, why are you here? Or are you lost?" And
regular greeting type shit.
Yeah, I don't remember what the woman says back to her, but Something spooky, I'm pretty sure.
Some ominous ass shit. Like,
Yeah.
And it didn't really answer Ramona's questions.
No, and she's just like, oh, okay.
She's just like, all right, well, I guess I'm not going to deal with this right now. I'm going to go back inside.
And then and before she goes back inside, she says, my husband will be back here soon.
Lying her ass off.
And then that's when it pans to a car that is covered up. And there's like a slight breeze, and it kind of reveals a crashed car. You're like, oh, I'm putting pieces together. The husband's not coming back because there was a car crash, and she only got out gimpy, but her husband got out completely.
Yeah. So we kind of set up how the meat of the story is. You know, the woman comes, she's kind of out there and fucking around, like she don't know what she's there for. Everybody's scared inside. They kind of go about their day until she starts moving forward. Weird things start happening. Yeah. But now let's talk about some things that really stood out to us about the movie. Things that we liked, things that we might not have liked.
Yeah, I like how everything was pretty much a mystery. I mean, pretty clearly early on you could tell it was supernatural, but I liked like the psychological aspects of it. You could tell that the mom kind of neglected her children with whatever was happening. So maybe that was some of like the psychological impact of the crash, losing her husband, how she had treated people, and she's kind of taking that out or grieving in her own way and not taking accountability for what needs to be done. And I think that psychological aspect is really interesting because there's that scene where she yells at her kid, throws the ball out the window, and she's like hugging her daughter.
Ooh, yeah,
and then she's looking in the mirror and she has a knife and she's stabbing her daughter in the back, and then it kind of cuts to her stabbing a pillow. Like, does she want to kill her kids or kind of what's going on?
Yeah. And in that scene as well, the son was in the corner. She wasn't actually holding her daughter, but the son was in the room and saw her stab the pillow. You want to talk about like the reveal of what the woman actually was? She was pretty much the
embodiment
Ramona, the embodiment of Ramona being depressed and wanting to end her life.
I think it was like grief. You find out later on in the movie, the woman in the yard kind of comes inside and says, you brought me here. Like, every morning you get up and pray for strength, but it's not the strength to keep going, it's the strength to take your own life.
That was my favorite part of the movie, I think.
So like that revelation of this whole time, like, is she praying to like something to take her away, to relieve the pain? And it is in that aspect of something that is going to relieve the pain, but it's through self-harm. So I think that's a really big, impactful moment of the movie. Absolutely. And that's probably near the last quarter of the movie. And there's that scene where they're in the bedroom and the woman in the yard is kind of like holding a light or something to the pictures.
Yep.
And the pictures are changing. So the kids are growing up in these pictures. You're seeing them be successful. She's kind of showing her life, what the kids would be like without her in it. Yep. And that's what she thinks, is that without her in their life, she's not providing anything anymore now that her husband's dead. She thinks they're going to be successful and be better off without her.
And when I first saw that scene, I thought that was the woman, like the woman from the yard, showing Ramona that this is the future. Mm-hmm. Like telling her that, yes, if you go through with this act, if you let me do what you wanted me to come here to do, your children will grow up to be successful.
Yeah.
And I had that feeling throughout the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Until, I thought about it a little more.
One thing about the movie that I didn't love was like the woman in the yard has these like shadow powers, and so she's like messing with like the chandelier in the shadow and like picking stuff up and throwing it, and they kind of quickly figure out, oh, she uses shadows. So they run up to the attic where there's no light, no shadows, cover everything up, and then they turn a flashlight on to provide shadows for her.
I remember that because they were.
Like, why are you providing her with a light source?
Because the kids were hiding in the corner, and then right when he turns it on,
immediately
it's her. Like it flashes the woman in the yard there.
Yeah, because I think they saw the chair that was out in the yard, and it was sitting up there empty, and he shines it on the chair.
Yeah, and it cuts off really quick.
Yeah,
and then it happens again, and she's there.
Yeah, and then it's spinning. He drops it, and.
But then once we get a little bit farther in, and there's the. I think like the last 15 minutes, it kind of gets very hectic.
Yeah.
But it's Ramona spiraling through the like reverse world, and we come to find out that Ramona was actually the woman in the yard, or what they saw in the attic.
And that was weird. It was like a duality. It's like, is this Ramona? Is this the woman in the yard?
Yes.
Well, they're really two and the same people. Obviously, it's not that simple because the son acknowledges the woman in the yard. So
that's a good point.
Obviously, there is some sort of physical entity that people can see because they acknowledge it. Dogs barking at it. I guess in that aspect, there is a supernatural element on top of the kind of psychological and the grief.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought about that because also in one of the mirror world shenanigans happening. When Ramona goes out to meet the woman in the yard, we then jump to the perspective of the woman that was sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
And it was Ramona. What do you think about that? Like,
yeah, I maybe try to do a little too much there. Like, it's interesting in showing that is her grief. And did she really like pray for this thing to come, and there is an entity here kind of causing havoc? Or is it more of like all of this is a metaphor of like, this is Ramona's grief, and this is her neglect of her children, and this is what they feel like. Like, they feel like everything's falling apart. They're not safe in the house with her mom. Like, she is the threat to them.
Yeah. See, I think it is that. The reactions that the children have to the woman in the yard and her powers are definitely them signaling, like, this is our mom doing this. Our mom makes an unsafe household ever since the crash or the accident. But like you said, the son does acknowledge that there is a physical woman in the yard.
Yes.
And he pulls out a gun and he aims it at her. That is not Ramona.
Yeah.
Like, or maybe it is. Like, I don't know. It's obviously something outside of the person that he thinks is Ramona.
Yeah. And they show that. Ramona's in the image. It is shown as a different woman when we do see her.
Yes.
But when we don't see her, it's kind of shown as Ramona. So when Ramona's not in the shot, because there's that shot when they're in the attic, like you said, Ramona is the one that is up in the attic.
Yep.
So he shines the flashlight, and you see the shadow lady previously go over to the girl, and it looks like it grabs her, absorbs her, and then we kind of flash back, and it was her grabbing her daughter.
Yes, definitely. And there was that one scene in the attic, but it was when the woman in the yard, when it wasn't Ramona, she had like her face blown off.
Yes, and that was symbolizing what was to come. Yeah. And let's talk about the gun for a second.
Okay.
You know, the son has the gun. He opens the box of bullets, empty shells. There's nothing in there, but there was one in the chamber.
Right. And when the woman in the yard comes in and starts talking to Ramona about it, she brings it up and says, you didn't get rid of all the bullets. You kept one.
Yeah.
For a reason.
What? Yeah. And I think that's when it kind of all clicks. That's what she's saving it for. You know, this is why she's so depressed and doesn't care. She's just ready to end it all.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about the ending. Let's talk about what you thought, and let's talk about what I thought. Starting from when the woman is kind of guiding Ramona over the gun, what do you think is actually happening from that point, and what do you think the meaning is?
Yeah. So there's a little bit of a skerfuffle, if you will, a struggle.
Yeah.
And the woman kind of in her power, a physical manifestation this time, not a shadow. I don't know if that matters.
I mean, kind of, because...
But you can really see her, because she's like grabbing on
the shit. Yeah, you can definitely see her, but like... So what's happening is, we see the woman in the yard behind Ramona.
Yep.
Like, kind of guiding her hands onto the gun, and then moving her head over the gun.
Yeah, could you do a motion for me?
Something like
that. Yeah.
But then, when you think that, you know, she might shoot the gun or something like that, it kind of zooms out and only shows the shadow.
Yeah.
And the two shadows merge together.
Yep. So, in my opinion, you know, I think it could be interpreted in a couple different ways. I think that when these shadows merge together after it kind of lined up the gun with her head, and then it cuts to the next clip, I think that's showing...
Well, it didn't cut to black. It did fade and move away.
Yeah, it faded away, and we don't hear a gunshot. We don't see anything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, did she do it? Didn't she do it?
Yeah.
Immediately after that, her kids, who she just sent off to a different farm, run back up. So I thought that was odd.
Yeah.
Then it kind of pans out. Big plot of the whole movie was that she didn't name the farm. She never knew what to name the farm.
Yep.
And it kind of pans out, and you see a plate on the farm entrance saying Iris Haven.
Iris Haven.
And then it kind of cuts over to a brand new kind of remodeled farmhouse.
Because the farm was like a fixer-upper, she said in the beginning.
Yes. So they were planning on fixing up the farm, naming it, and this is like what they dreamed to do. And we didn't even talk about that. We didn't talk about the crash. The
one part that we left out was the whole accident. Like how she injured her leg, what fucked up the truck. Like, so Ramona and her husband, they were on a dinner date, and they were having an argument. And Ramona pretty much said that she wasn't happy with what was going on. She, you know, the farm wasn't what she expected, and that she was tired of moving back and forth.
Yeah, and it sounded like, we don't know, but it sounded like they had moved a couple times previously. Like, we can't keep bouncing around. Like, we don't have the finances for this.
Yep. We
agreed on getting this farm, fixing it up together, and raising our family here. And Ramona doesn't seem to be on board anymore.
But the thing, so right after they leave, it's shown that Ramona is driving the car.
And up to that point, she had told her kids that I guess her husband was the one driving the car. I don't know why that matters as much, because it wasn't like she was intoxicated or anything. I think it really matters because as they're driving home after they just had this big argument, they're angry. She gets distracted by something, looks in the rearview mirror, and she sees the woman that we will see later in the yard.
And she saw the woman in the yard, like in the attic. She saw the bullet hole.
For sure.
What if the woman in the yard in the mirror was like somebody that had been in a car accident? Because it was showing how she wanted to die.
Yeah, maybe.
In that moment.
Yeah.
Because right after that,
I kind of feel like she was a little bit mutilated.
She might have been, but I don't think it was a bullet hole.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever know.
So, right after she sees the woman in the yard, she immediately crashes.
Yeah, because she was not paying attention to the road, as you should. Be a safe driver.
And that's the crash that killed her husband and broke her leg.
Yep.
But up until that point, obviously, like you said, the kids thought that it was the dad driving.
Yeah, so that was a pretty big reveal of the movie, of like admitting that she was the one driving. I think that was something causing her some grief, at least. So maybe she was getting that off her chest and hoping for something like reconcile with her kids. I don't know if they were holding it against her, but
I just had a revelation about what the whole movie means that I want to talk about once we get back to that kind of relates to what you said there.
Yep. So we're
Iris
back
Haven.
to the Iris Haven. It flashes over to the renovated farmhouse. So it doesn't say time has passed. It just kind of shows this perfect farmhouse, perfectly named. We don't specifically see her husband or hear his voice, but we do see the kids and the dog, who we presumed were dead earlier. Not the kids, but the dog.
Right.
And it seems like
But we didn't see the dog's body.
No, we did not. But we saw that there was like a chain in the ground. So there was some spooky shit going on with that.
Yeah, we thought it was buried, and then it was like an empty chain that she pulled, and
Yeah.
we just assumed that she had killed, because she killed the chickens, and she had blood on her hands.
Yeah. So it seems like this perfect world. And one thing that emphasized throughout the whole movie was that the daughter was dyslexic. She always wrote her R's and like P's, anything with like the little...
It was just R.
P's,
It was just R because then the Ramona.
Yeah. P's, R's,
It was R's.
Any of that. So Ramona was on this painting that looked like it was like some painting. It said Pomona.
It was a painting of a woman that looked like Ramona, but it also looked like it had
like spooky.
Spooky Ramona, which is pretty much what the woman in the yard is.
Exactly.
Spooky Ramona. And Ramona was signed at the bottom of the painting, and it was written backwards.
So what I really think happened is when it fades after the mom in the
You
shadow.
think this is the dream world?
Yes, I think that the mom ended it. I think she pulled the trigger. We don't see it, and this is like her relief. This is her dream world, and I kind of think her husband's not in it because they were having this fight and she was unhappy with them.
I don't think that she hated the husband. I think she was just upset with the situation.
Yeah, I think she was upset with the situation for sure, and because she kept watching those videos, I could definitely see that she had regret, and she was like, man, I had this good thing with my husband, and maybe kind of coming to revelation that she should have just been content with what she had.
So you're saying that you think that she ended it in the attic, and then her kids running back up to it, that's her entering the dream world, and she goes to the Iris
Yeah, I
Haven
think she's
house.
already dead by then.
Okay.
And because for me, the kids running back up didn't really make sense because she told them to go to that other farm.
Yeah.
And they seemed pretty ready to get out of there. Son had wanted to go multiple times earlier on, like, I can make it there by myself. It's fine. She sent him on. And then immediately as she walks out, her kids are running up to her. A little too convenient for me to be like, why are they coming back for her? Like, they didn't even bring help.
Let me tell you what I think happened.
All right. Lay it on me.
So I have two theories. The first one that I thought of was she was actually in the attic, and a woman in the yard puts her over the gun.
Yep.
They merge together. It fades to black. We don't hear a gun, though.
Yeah.
I think that, and I think there was some part in there where she said that I know how to handle her when she comes back.
Yeah.
And I think that she is using the paintings to handle her.
Okay.
And I don't think that she actually pulls the trigger. I think that once they see the Iris Haven, the newly renovated house, and the painting, I think the Ramona backwards is her signaling that this is how I deal with the depression. This is the mirror world. This is the
Like she's
woman in
locking
the
it
art
into
world.
something else, like her art.
And then as we were talking, what I think now, because it doesn't really make sense that there would just be a whole new house there in the real world.
Yeah.
So what I think is that it was a fixer-upper, and they did fix it up. But then once her and her husband got in the accident, that's when the depression started. And the house that
was never dilapidated?
Yes, and the house that they're in throughout is just her viewpoint of the house because she's depressed, and she wants to end it all.
No, I don't agree.
Really?
No, I think it would be a sick concept. I don't think the movie went there. But
yeah, I don't think there's enough. Like, that's kind of me putting a spin on it. I don't think there was enough.
I think that would be fantastic if they layered that up and built it up to like this is just her image of the house, like her unhappiness and kind of showing her emotions with how she had not coped with them after her husband's death. But
even if that theory isn't right, I still think that she didn't go through with it because we see the dog. And we did not see the dog die before.
Yeah.
Iris Haven is written correctly. It's not like it's in the mirror world before because throughout the movie it was built up that the woman in the yard world, the reverse world, was all the words were reversed.
Yep.
But Iris Haven was not.
Yeah.
The only reverse word was Ramona on the picture, on the painting. And we don't see the husband because we know he's dead.
Yes.
But I don't think that she hates the husband. So I don't think that she would leave him out of the perfect world. No, I guess there's an argument to be said either way.
Yeah, I mean, you're convincing me a little bit. I mean, I could see it either way. I don't think we'll know for sure one way or another.
I think it's supposed to be ambiguous.
The melding of her with the shadow. It's either her giving into the grief or her accepting that the grief is a part of her, but then using the painting and stuff as an outlet to be able to go through that.
I think that's the pivotal point in the movie.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what kind of time jump there was because there's no way a single mom is fixing up that whole farmhouse by herself.
No, I agree. Yeah. I agree. But
maybe her son grew up and did some stuff.
No,
because they're still kids. They're still young. They look the exact same. Young. So it seemed like the next day.
No, but maybe what had happened was while the husband was still alive, they did that work. And she saw all the progress and was still sad about it or like something or another. Yeah. But then once they had the accident, that's when the depression hit, and that's why she started viewing it like that.
Yeah.
I do wish that they would have built it up, but that also kind of makes sense that
it was so quick.
Well, that there was a physical woman in the yard, because if it's all in her mind, or if it's all like the woman in the yard is her grief and her children are reacting to it, that's how she's viewing the whole situation.
All right, so you're saying that this whole movie took place in Ramona's mind?
No, I don't know if I'm saying that. I think the actions that are happening do happen. Like, she stabs a pillow. I think that's real. She kills the chickens. I think that's real.
Okay.
But I think that those actions are happening in the new house, the renovated house. It's just the way that she sees it, it's in the dilapidated house.
Okay.
With the woman out there.
I mean, I can see it. I think it would make the movie exponentially better than it was. It was honestly already better than I expected it to be for a PG-13 random horror movie called The Woman in the Yard. The concept
it got a 5.6 on IMDb. I think it's better than a 5.6.
Yeah. Let's just say what we would rate it then.
Let me go, since I'm not like a horror movie buff.
Yeah.
Just for reference, I think Talk to Me is probably my favorite horror movie, and I think that is a 9.
I would agree. Talk to Me is very good. Maybe not my favorite, but definitely up there.
Okay. So I will say that The Woman in the Yard is a solid 8. And man, if they would have sprinkled some of the stuff that I'm kind of saying, like if there was one more hint that showed that it was like that, maybe we can find it on another watch, I would say 8.5.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the 7.5 just because there weren't a ton of jump scares, which I appreciated. There were a couple. I don't think the tension was great. It seemed like they pretty quickly resolved everything. All of a sudden, like, there's this woman in the yard. Nothing's happening for quite a bit of the movie, and then all of a sudden the woman's in the house. And then quickly they're up in the attic. And it seems like everything just happened so quickly back to back that it didn't build up enough tension of like, this woman is very ominous and like she has these powers. It was just kind of like, woman has the powers. She's in the house. She's going to kill you.
See, let me piggyback off a little bit what you said there. Like, I agree with the jump scares. Like, I think jump scares kind of take away from a movie.
If used right, they can be good.
Yeah.
But
I disagree on the tension. I think that they did a good job with the tension, because earlier in the movie, it kind of did the thing where we always keep the bad guy in sight. Like, if you remember, like when the son was out trying to get in the Jeep, she was in the background and we could see her.
Yes.
But then, like, once it panned and stuff and we couldn't see her, I think that's when kind of the tension was there.
That's true. It got good when the son went outside.
Maybe it wasn't consistent.
Tried to start the Jeep, and it seemed like every time they took their eyes off of her, she got either close to the house or something happened. I guess in that theory, it's interesting, like, because that actually plays to your theory a little bit. If you think about the Jeep. So the Jeep wasn't starting. The son goes out there to try to start the Jeep, not knowing that the mom had tried it and it wasn't working. He looks back and the woman isn't in the chair anymore. And then he is kind of seeing things, stuff's knocking off. He grabs something.
Like a fire stoker or something.
Yeah, some sort of weapon. And he swings it at the thing that's about to open the door, and it's his mom. It's Ramona. So he never actually saw the woman causing the stuff. It was Ramona that he interacted with immediately after that. So I don't know if that was just like a mislead of the movie, or
Interesting.
like Ramona was the one that was kind of going out there and he's seeing this as like his mom is out there.
He definitely pointed the gun at the woman in the yard.
Yes.
But I don't think the woman did anything to him.
And I think the woman took her veil off. I think he even saw her face when he pointed his gun.
Yeah, and it was not Ramona. I don't remember the woman in the yard physically doing anything against the children, because like we said in the attic, when they shined the light on her, it was Ramona.
Yeah, I don't think the woman in the yard actually caused any physical harm to anybody. She didn't hurt anybody.
It was kind of Ramona doing it all. Like, she stabbed the pillow. She killed the chickens. She, I don't know what she did with the dog. I think a rewatch would be good for us.
Yeah, I mean, because the woman never hurt anybody, never caused any physical damage, but clearly there is some woman in the yard because they acknowledge it. Everybody acknowledges it.
Yeah.
The daughter's saying, "Mommy, who's that woman?" The son is saying, "Why is this lady in our yard?" And even Ramona's like, "I don't know who she is," and she's communicating with the kids about it. It seems interesting that Ramona is very quick to dismiss the woman, like she knows who she is.
Like in the beginning, she didn't press her very hard. She went back inside.
She went back inside. Told her kids everything is fine. Didn't really try to do anything, and just tried to like sit down, like let's go eat some ice cream, and like just ignore it. Like she's ignoring her guilt or ignoring the problems as she is used to doing throughout the whole movie.
Yep.
And we don't know how long it was between the crash, how long the husband was dead for. So she could have been holding all this in and bottling it and not having an outlet for all of her emotions for a long time. And that just kind of shows how she handles things. Let's just ignore this woman in the yard. But I don't know if we'll know if... Obviously, there was a physical woman in the yard. And...
Yeah, I mean, unless it really was supposed to be all in her mind, there definitely was somebody else there. But if it's all in her mind, then she could view this depressive person as a completely different person than herself.
Yeah, it could be, like you're saying, anytime that we don't see the woman, that is what is truly happening. And when we do see the woman, that is kind of Ramona's perspective on like how the kids are acting, kind of how life is with her in it. Everything is chaotic. Everybody's scared of her. Wow. Things are like falling apart. They're being attacked, it seems like. And that's every time we see the woman. But otherwise, what's really happening is Ramona's going crazy and not dealing with everything.
Man, I would love for there to be just like a solid answer.
Yeah.
But I think they definitely left it ambiguous on purpose.
For sure.
I mean, yeah, I gave it an 8. I think it's really good. I think the only thing that would raise it up for me would be a little bit more definitiveness, but also that kind of takes away from the mystery.
Yeah, I think it's good that it leaves it open-ended. I mean, it's up to your interpretation. Do you want it to be a sad ending? Do you want it to be a happy ending? Maybe that, answers to your character. Do you give in to depression? Do you think that she did it?
I mean, when I was
or are you more optimistic?
Though, when I had the thoughts that she actually did it, I was like, wow, I cannot.
It was dark, yeah. But our reaction was, that's crazy that they just ended the movie with her ending her life. Yeah. It's almost like they're promoting this negative thing, because I don't think you're supposed to be talking about on YouTube. I don't think they like. So no, I don't think they like that.
I don't think they like that at all.
So I'm trying to come up with other words that aren't.
Yeah. But. Yeah. So I think the only thing that would bump it up for me is a little bit more definitiveness, and maybe if they made the sequence at the end a little bit less crazy, because I didn't know exactly what was going on, like when she was jumping from mirror world to mirror world.
Yeah.
But maybe that's to show the craziness of depression.
Because they kind of threw the mirror world in there at the end. Yeah, they were like, oh, the daughter got sucked in the mirror world, and then like she went through the safe, which that's a little symbolic because the safe is where she kept the gun. So I don't know if that was kind of like symbolizing giving into, grabbing the gun. That's where she made that decision.
And the daughter helped her to put the doorknob on. What could that have? I don't know.
No, we'll never know. Yeah, but yeah, I think the only thing that I have complaints about, because I was pleasantly surprised with the movie. I feel like I've torn it apart, but I really did enjoy it. It was just maybe if it had a little bit more of the horror aspects of it, maybe building some of those tension scenes a little bit better, because when it did it pretty well. But I think there was only 1 or 2 scenes of it, like that scene in the Jeep. Mm-hmm. When you see her in the background, you're like, oh, he's safe. It kind of pans, blocks your view of her, and then she's not there. You're like, oh, where is she at? Yep. So maybe doing that a little bit more, pursued the no jump scares, and think that the message was deeper than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. I didn't think it was going to be what it was about. I didn't think this was
going to be a shitter of a movie.
Yeah.
And I walked out like wanting to talk about it.
Absolutely, yeah. I did not think it was going to have any sustenance to it. I thought it was just going to be like another, B-list horror movie that I'd watch, spend $15 on, waste my money on, and be like, man, why did I watch that? Like Wolfman. That movie sucks. We watched it. We'll get that review later.
Yeah, no. I got all my thoughts out on it, man.
Yeah, I think so too. Thanks for joining.